Welcome to Despicable Maine Deep Dive.
Good to be here.
Today, we're diving into something right here in Maine that, well, it really makes you wonder, why you need a lawyer from away.
That title definitely grabs your attention.
It does. You actually flagged this case for us, Bryce Babson, up in Hancock County.
That's the one.
He was indicted, facing some really, really serious charges. We're talking gross sexual assault, endangering a child's welfare, aggravated cruelty to animals.
Yes, serious stuff, stemming from alleged incidents, back in 2017, 2018?
Exactly, in Stonington and Blue Hill.
Okay.
Now, the initial news reports, they painted a pretty grim picture, details about alleged rape, this really disturbing story involving kids and an injured deer.
Right, I remember reading that. And they mentioned some local attorneys, too.
They did, yeah. Jeff Toothaker, Robert Van Horn, Charles Helfrich, William Blaisdell, Mary Kellett Gray. But it was more in the context of who could have been involved, hypothetically. Not that they were. Gotcha.
Just listing the local legal players, sort of.
Pretty much. But here's the real kicker. The twist in this Maine backroad tale. Despite all that, despite the indictment.
All went away.
Gone. Dismissed. The whole case against Babson just thrown out. Lack of evidence was the official reason given.
Okay, but it's why there was a lack of evidence, right? That's the fascinating part here.
Exactly.
The DA's office, they explicitly said it was because Babson's defense attorney, Walt McKee, he's based down in Augusta, so not hyper-local.
Oh, right, from away in this context.
He apparently dug up evidence that just flat out contradicted the prosecution's initial case.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. Because the prosecutor admitted, quote, at the time of the indictment, we had investigative materials that supported probable cause.
So they thought they had a case. They went to a grand jury, got the indictment.
Yes. But then this lawyer, the one from outside the immediate area, does his own digging and boom, the whole thing falls apart. Babson himself, he's quoted saying the case was basically built on statements made by one individual, and he expressed shock, being dragged through the news based on what someone said.
Which, I mean, you can understand that reaction. It's like being accused of, I don't know, stealing the Paul Bunyan statue based on one person pointing a finger.
Right. It immediately makes you ask, okay, if the first investigation led to an indictment, what on earth did the defense find?
And why didn't the prosecution or the initial investigators find it? Or perhaps acknowledge it? That's the nagging question, isn't it?
It really is. McKee, the defense attorney, he said he got additional evidence that significantly conflicted with the alleged victim's statements. Now, he can't share what it is legally.
Understandable. Privileged information.
But he did say Bryce is pleased that the district attorney's office saw what Bryce has been saying all along. None of this ever happened at all.
Wow. Quite the turnaround. Must have been incredibly stressful.
You'd think so. And if we, zoom out a bit, connect this to the bigger picture, it really hammers home how vital a truly independent, thorough defense investigation can be.
Absolutely. And Babson's reaction, that shock, it just highlights how vulnerable you can be when you're caught up in the system, maybe based just on someone's word initially.
Which brings us right back to that really provocative idea you sent over, the suggestion that maybe, just maybe, Babson would have been convicted.
If he'd had a local, maybe court-appointed attorney?
Exactly. The implication is pretty stark, isn't it? That maybe you need someone from outside that immediate bubble to really shake things up.
It definitely raises that question. The potential for, biases, or at least a certain comfort level, maybe an unconscious reluctance to push too hard against familiar faces or local institutions.
That whole good old boys club idea, it sounds like a cliche, maybe a bit sarcastic.
It can be. But it points to a real concern, right?
Yeah.
About familiarity, local pressures, maybe not wanting to rock the boat too much within a small legal community.
It's like needing an outside auditor, because everyone in the company thinks the slightly dodgy accounting is just how we've always done things.
That's a decent analogy, actually. A fresh set of eyes without those pre-existing relationships or assumptions.
So, for our listeners, what's the takeaway here? It really suggests pretty strongly, I think, that if you're facing serious charges, especially in one of Maine's, tighter-knit communities,
looking outside that immediate area for your lawyer might be more than just an option. It might be crucial.
Yeah, like a strategic advantage. You get someone maybe less worried about local politics or stepping on toes.
Someone whose only priority is digging into your case, finding your truth, without those potential local entanglements.
It's like bringing in that specialist from the city, right? When local doc is stumped. a different perspective, maybe different tools or willingness to use them.
A willingness to ask the uncomfortable questions, perhaps?
Definitely. So this Babson case, even with the dismissal, it leaves us with a lot to chew on about how our legal system works, or sometimes doesn't, and just how critical good representation is.
And the fact that the defense found this conflicting evidence strong enough to completely stop the prosecution, well, it underscores that need to look beyond just the initial story, doesn't it?
It really does. You can't just take the first draft of the story as the final word.
And what's really thought-provoking, I think, is just seeing that power of independent investigation, how the outcome could potentially hinge so much on who was asking the questions, who was doing the digging.
Makes you think about the dynamics within these legal communities.
For sure. And the value of different perspectives, maybe even outsider perspectives, in getting closer to justice. It raises a big question for everyone listening, I think.
Which is,
What assumptions do we carry about the legal process, about fairness? And, well, who is actually best equipped to navigate that system effectively for you? Is it the familiar face or the expert from away?
that's a heavy thought to end on, something to definitely mull over.
Indeed.
Thanks for tuning in to the Despicable Maine Deep Dive. Remember, living in Despicable Maine is theft of your life.